Tonight on Cronkite News, how many borrowers across the country and here in Arizona will benefit from $9 billion in student debt relief? Plus, eviction rates are continuing to rise, with more people one crisis away from losing their home. And baseball fans are calling this team the Answerbacks. We'll have a look at how the Arizona Diamondbacks made it to its first National League Division Series since 2017. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Jesse Broaders. Thank you for joining us. The Biden administration announced it's building a new section of the border wall in South Texas. This decision reportedly bypasses 26 federal laws, and it contradicts a campaign promise to not extend the wall started by former President Trump. After a briefing this morning, the president said there was nothing he could do to stop it.
The border wall, the money was appropriated for the border wall. I tried to get them to reappropriate, to redirect that money. They didn't, they wouldn't. And in the meantime, there's nothing under the law other than they have to use the money for what it was appropriated. I can't stop that.
Do you believe the border wall works?
No.
And yesterday, Biden's administration said it has cleared the way for another $9 billion in student debt relief for as many as 125,000 borrowers, including more than 11,000 in Arizona. Cronkite News reporter Alexandria Cullen is at the White House and explains what this means for students.
The savings come through little administrative changes to existing debt relief programs, and those changes will have a big payoff, as much as $840 million to borrowers in Arizona.
But it's good for our economy as a whole as well, by freeing millions of Americans from the crushing burden of student debt.
Those savings are good news for borrowers, but it will be good news for the state economy as well, says Arizona State economics professor Dennis Hoffman.
That would enable them to redirect the payment to things like automobile loans, housing loans, just day-to-day.
This week's announcement is the latest White House response to a Supreme Court ruling in June that struck down an earlier debt relief plan that would have saved 40 million Americans $40 billion. Since then, the administration has made a number of moves to assemble scaled-down debt relief for student borrowers.
And my administration has been pursuing a new approach, grounded and under a different law, the Higher Education Act. This act allows the Secretary of Education to compromise, waive, or release loans under certain circumstances.
The National Education Association's Mary Kusler welcomed the administration's pivot to the Higher Education Act, which will give Education Secretary Miguel Cardona greater control over debt relief.
Secretary Cardona is sitting down with stakeholders from across the board to really try to put pen to paper and come up with the best ways that they're providing this necessary relief.
For Kusler, the conversation should go beyond current debt holders to include future generations of students.
We have to be addressing this from a whole scale aspect so that these next generations coming through can afford their dream as well.
Wednesday's announcement brings the total debt cancellation to $127 billion under the Biden administration, which the president claims has brought relief to over 3.6 million Americans. In Washington, Alexandria Cullen, Cronkite News.
Arizona's Attorney General Chris Mays is calling for statewide regulation of our groundwater. This comes after Saudi Farms' lease was ended by Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs. The company used the state's groundwater to grow alfalfa before shipping it back to Saudi Arabia, but it reportedly didn't pay for using the water. 3 other leases will not be renewed when they expire in February. The number of evictions in Maricopa County continue to climb, and if the trend continues, the record for evictions could be broken. According to Maricopa County courts, over 7,800 evictions were filed last month. That's close to the record. Higher rents and inflation are contributing to the increase, and fewer landlords are choosing to accept housing vouchers. More than 61,000 evictions have been filed so far this year. Big news for Valley sports. The Arizona Diamondbacks shut down the underdog narratives and swept the Milwaukee Brewers in their wild card series. Manager Torey Lovello delivered an iconic post-game locker room speech that we had to mute, but oh how sweet the sweep was. The D-backs became the 4th team with multi-run comeback wins in the first 2 postseason games. A 4-run rally in the 6th propelled the Diamondbacks over the Brewers 5-2, and this upcoming division series is all about revenge. They'll now have a chance to face a familiar foe in the NLDS, the same team that swept them in their last playoff appearance, the Los Angeles Dodgers. After the game, manager Torey Lovullo expressed how happy he was with his team.
Overall, I felt like the youngsters were ready, and I couldn't be more proud of this group for what they did, falling behind 3-0 in a away ballpark, in a playoff scenario. They fought all night long, and that was the entire team as well.
And there's another big game this weekend, ASU up against Colorado, but it may be a little toasty over at Mountain America Stadium. Evan Rouser now joins us with your game day forecast.
All right, as we wake up tomorrow, we'll see it in the high 70s, but that won't last for long. As we can see around midday, we will creep into the hundreds at 101 around 2 p.m. That will stick around through dinner time, as 101 will last till 5. But as we get into the evening, we will see it drop to the mid-90s around 8 p.m. and continue to drop throughout the night. As we take a look at tomorrow's low temperatures, we can see it at 80 degrees here in Phoenix. And as we move north, we'll see 62 degrees in Sedona, and in the mountains, 40 degrees in Flagstaff. Taking a look south, we'll see 75 degrees in Tucson, but there is no excitement in the high temperatures. 104 here in Phoenix, and in fact, 100 will cross most of the southwestern part of the state. We'll see an even 100 degrees in Tucson, but taking a look up north, 75 in Flagstaff, and it will be in the mid to high 70s, even touching 80 all the way up in Page as we take a look at the northern part of the state. On Saturday, the Colorado Buffaloes are in town, and they will have to battle more than the Sun Devils, as the heat will be a problem for the Buffaloes. 96 degrees around 2 p.m. when you're gathering your things, heading over to the stadium, maybe at a tailgate. At 3 p.m., right around kickoff, we'll see it around 98 degrees. And as we roll into the first and second quarter, we'll see the 100-degree mark at 4. But the second half will cool off a little bit, 98 degrees around 5 p.m. And as we're leaving, hopefully with a Sun Devil win, we should see 94 degrees around 6 p.m. Taking a look at our 8-day forecast, you can see the hundreds all weekend, 104 on Friday and 102 on Saturday. The clouds will roll in on Sunday, and then they will leave on Monday, as we will see mid-90s through the rest of the week. In the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Evan Reiser.
We're not done talking about ASU's game against Colorado. Coming up next, your exclusive look at how the Valley is getting ready for some primetime football.
ASU's one and only student-run radio station, Blaze Radio, provides students with opportunities to cover a variety of topics. From music,
this is Sun City Garage,
to sports coverage,
against the Brewers in his last outing, he went
to news.
The bill also gives parents the ability to see,
and entertainment updates. Blaze Radio offers a fun environment to gain valuable broadcast experience. To find out more, visit blazeradioonline.com.
This is CN to Go. I'm Emily Olson with your Wednesday news briefing.
Do you want to create innovative content for Cronkite News? Do you enjoy listening to podcasts? Then CN to Go is for you. Cronkite News to Go is a podcast where students cover the latest headlines. Students become audio producers and hosts and will learn how to write, record, and edit stories. You can listen to the latest episodes on these platforms.
Inside Mountain America Stadium, Cronkite News is proud to get you ready for the Sun Devils and the Buffaloes this Saturday on the Pac-12 Network. Now inside Mountain America Stadium, alongside Paul Schultz, I'm Matt Venezia. The Sun Devils, 1-4 coming into this matchup against the Colorado Buffaloes. Paul, I know a lot of sharps probably could have predicted that this is the way the season would have started for ASU, but nonetheless, this is where we are entering another matchup, this time with the Buffs.
Well, and you look at the attention that this new coaching staff has got for good reason with Kenny Dillingham coming in, and the staff that he's compiled has been fairly impressive, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Brian Ward has done a phenomenal job there. The offense, on the other hand, has struggled a little bit, but we'll see how it unfolds as the season continues.
And now, Paul, yes, coming into this matchup, we look at the numbers. The Sun Devils 124th in total offense at just 17.6 points per game. Outside of Cam Scadaboo's breakout 2-touchdown game against USC, the offense for ASU has really not been there.
Yeah, Matt, if you look at Colorado, they've got the 7th ranked offense in the Pac-12. Struggled, as you can see, looking at the numbers in the run game, so expect them to rely heavily on the pass.
We now know the numbers heading into this pressing matchup for Arizona State football with Coach Prime and the Buffs coming to Tempe, and that's been the storyline of college football all year long. And our Beatrice Martinez went to talk to some ASU fans and asked the pressing questions about Coach Prime.
Thanks, guys. Deion Sanders has been the topic of conversation in college football. ASU fans are pumped and ready for the Buffs and have a lot to say about Colorado coming to Sun Devil territory.
ASU gets one big win every year. Colorado's coming in, they're the hot shots. When ASU comes in, they're taking them down. A lot of hype around it, a lot of everything, but no, that's their one big win. That's ASU's one big win is Colorado. They're taking on Deion, they're taking on Shedeur, and they're bringing them down.
There's going to be a lot of tailgating happening this Saturday. Despite the Buffs having 2 more wins under their belt, many fans remain hopeful for the Devils to come out on top and secure their 2nd win of the season.
I don't think Shedeur, Shiloh, or any of his sons can live up to Deion's name. So I expect the Devils to come through in a big way. I expect them to win the game. And I expect Delon crying on the sideline like a little baby at the end of the game.
If you think Colorado fans have been coming in full force, check this out. Colorado is averaging 53,000 in attendance, and ASU is averaging 48,000 in attendance, which is 4th in conference. A lot of people on campus have been talking about this game as if it were a championship game. That just shows you how excited ASU fans are, and I know I'm pumped, and I'm looking forward to seeing this turnout for this Colorado versus ASU game. In Tempe, Beatrice Martinez, Cronkite News. Back to you guys.
Thanks, B. An exciting matchup coming here to Tempe, and Matt, I think the fans are pretty fired up about it.
Sure, Coach Prime's coming to town. You have to be ready to go, and it seems like the fans are ready, but how about these players? They're certainly going to be excited, and they have 2 of the most animated coaches in all of college football ready to get their guys going.
Because this place is special, pretty emotional, right? It's just who I am. The one thing you're going to get from me, okay? I am who I am. I am who I am.
What's up, Bubs? You believe that? You hold on. Oh no. You believe in that?
I thought their urgency to get lined up, their urgency to see the signal, their urgency to communicate, right, was better. Were there a few things that we still demonstrated that we didn't get applied? Yes, that's why you practice.
We ain't got next. We got now. We ain't coming no more.
That was some pretty exciting moments there from both head coaches. Now we're joined by ASU star tight end Jalin Conyers. Jalin, thank you for wanting to join us here at the stadium ahead of this matchup. And Jalin, you know, coming into this matchup, obviously there's a lot of storylines about Colorado and Coach Prime and what he's doing at that program. But at the end of the day, it's just another college football game on Saturday, right? How do you block out the noise and get ready to play?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, Colorado's been one of the biggest stories, you know, in college football as of late. So, you know, them coming to our place, 2 kind of freshly new programs, 2 new head coaches, kind of 2 whole new teams. You know, it's definitely a storyline, but I think at the end of the day, a lot of us, you know, we kind of just take it like it's another game. You know, it's just, you know, we just had USC here, you know, kind of went through the same thing last year playing, you know, just really ranked teams. I mean, when you look at our schedule and you go look, I mean, shoot, Fresno State's ranked now, and then basically the whole rest of our schedule has been ranked, is going to be ranked opponents, if not teams in the top 25. So, you know, for us, it's just kind of going in with the same mentality we do every week and just getting ready to go play, you know, and obviously we want to go show people, you know, even though we're the underdog, we can come out on top.
And that's a great transition. You mentioned all the now ranked teams you guys have played. Offensively, guys have had struggles. You've had, or injuries, I should say, guys in and out of the lineup, and held your own against a top 10 team in USC and came close against Cal. So what's it going to take to kind of take that next step, get over the hump against Colorado?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Dillingham has said it multiple times. He thinks we're like this close, So I agree. I mean, offensively, it's kind of one of those things we're working on. I mean, a lot of O-linemen down. Obviously guys playing through injuries. It's been a struggle, but I think the biggest thing for us, is just coming together as a team and kind of seeing what we're really about and find it out. Like, if you come out to practice, you see guys not necessarily playing positions that they're used to playing, but just, we're just trying to make it work. And, with kind of Coach Dillingham's offensive mind, how brilliant he is, he has a plan. And, I mean, obviously you've seen spurts and kind of good things from the offensive of late. And, we got to just kind of make it consistent. We got to play a whole game of having a good offense instead of maybe just 2 quarters, 3 quarters, et cetera. So I think we've done a really good job this week so far of just trying to prepare for what we're going to have to face against Colorado.
Now, Jalin, this is an early October matchup. You're taking on a team that was ranked coming into Tempe. There's a lot of similar parallels to that game last year, the upset against Washington here at home. I know Colorado isn't ranked anymore, but what is it going to take to play the upset here at home? Again, this is kind of almost like that activate the valley kind of game here. What's it going to take to be able to do that?
I mean, I think the first step is obviously as a team, obviously just executing, doing what we're supposed to do. I mean, Colorado's a really good team. Offensively, they score a lot of points. And, obviously we're going to have to kind of match that. Their defense is good. They play really, really hard, but they do have some spots that we think we could take advantage of. So other than that, really, obviously just haven't got people like in the stadium and the fans, just kind of bringing the energy that we did kind of against Washington. It's kind of the same thing that we've had, 3:30 game, it's kind of like one of those games that like you don't really know what's going to happen. So, really good team coming in here. Obviously Coach Prime's done a good job, but I think I think the team that's in this locker room right now that's been practicing all this week, is ready to go. I think, when you look at us, we kind of have something to prove at this point in the season. When you look at our, it's kind of what I said last year, you look at our record, you don't really reflect how good the team is, not necessarily, it's a new it's obviously a new head coach staff, stuff like that. So I think for us, it's just the biggest thing is that we're going to get in here, we're going to try to do our thing and, kind of shock the world.
All right, Jalin Conyers, Sun Devil tight end, thanks for joining us. Good luck Saturday.
Thank you for having me. What's up?
When we come back, a deeper dive into Coach Prime and his journey to Boulder, and we'll discuss the 2 players who have the biggest impact on their team's success or failure this weekend.
Cronkite News provides students at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism with the opportunity to gain real-world experience in the newsroom. At Cronkite News, our students produce professional content for audiences by taking on all roles, whether they be reporting, anchoring, producing, or studio production. Each department gives students first-hand professional newsroom experience. For more information, visit cronkitenews.azpbs.org. ASU's one and only student-run radio station, Blaze Radio, provides students with opportunities to cover a variety of topics. From music,
This is Sun City Garage,
to sports coverage,
Against the Brewers in his last outing, he went
to news,
The bill also gives parents the ability to sue.
and entertainment updates. Blaze Radio offers a fun environment to gain valuable broadcast experience. To find out more, visit blazeradioonline.com.
Welcome back to Cronkite News' matchup preview between Arizona State and Colorado. The most talked about team in all of college sports is ASU's opponent this Saturday, when in reality, it's just another game for Kenny Dillingham and his guys.
It's about us. It's always about us. This is the team, that we play. It's another game. And it's about us and us being the best version of us. So we're going to go compete to be better today.
Yeah, good stuff from Coach Dillingham there. You take a look at the comparison between he and Coach Prime, both in their first year as a Power 5 head coach. Let's take a look at Coach Prime's journey to this position, and for that, let's check in with Cronkite News' Alexis Davis.
Thank you so much, Mia, for joining us from the LA Times to the Boston Globes. You have been around and seen it all, but you have been around Coach Prime for the last 4 years. Is any of the success a surprise for you?
Absolutely not. When it comes to Deion Sanders, success and Sanders are a synonym at this point. I think the biggest thing is, how did he have success so fast, especially going from Jackson State to a Power 5 football team right now.
So he's received a lot of criticism on a lot of different things. One, for leaving Jackson State, and then also for leaving so many Colorado football players without a scholarship. What would you say to that criticism?
For the guys that left, he did give them the courtesy of telling them well in advance. It's a lot more common for players to enter the portal now in December so that way they can find a new school, begin working out, getting reps, getting acclimated to a new team. Allow them to have their options now rather than, hey, let them go through spring and realizing they've been replaced by his Louis luggage.
A lot of the Jackson State players that now play for Colorado, they would have never gotten the chance to play at a Power 5 school if Coach Sanders never gave them that option. So I will say hats off to him for giving those HBCU players a chance to play on that grand stage. Now, we also saw against Colorado State, Shedeur lost his first answer, which would be Travis Hunter. Now, moving forward, he was able to find a lot of options after his option 1 was ruled out. What do you think that says about his versatility?
He was never a one wide receiver type of quarterback. He might have a favorite. Travis is his favorite. Why? Like, I don't blame him. As athletically gifted as Travis is, there's a trust there, but also he's used to feeding his other teammates. The other wide receivers didn't come into this game without any reps. They came in 100-yard receiving games as well. So for him to instantly, it took a couple drives. You saw it initially, like, he struggled, but after he realized, okay, I don't have Travis, I have to go through my progressions, they helped him out. His receivers made plays for him.
Me and you had the privilege of seeing Deion Sanders when he lost back-to-back Celebration Bowls. How do you think he deals with loss and defeat, and do you think he's the right leader to teach his team how to deal with loss and defeat when it is their day?
A team that went 1-11 last year has already eclipsed that so far this year. Right now, they're just, they're on the right. They're trying to dominate. You want to know, okay, how do you react to the defeat? But I still think the aura that is Coach Prime, they're still going for that show. They're still going to see the celebrity on the sidelines, the pageantry that you don't see at a PWI, especially one whose total population is less than 1% Black in Colorado. You don't see it that often, so this is still a show for them, something different.
After the Colorado and Colorado State game, Bill Roden reported that when he was in an elevator with Sanders, that Sanders said, they didn't expect this from me, they didn't believe. Do you think that Sanders realizes that the media's job is to cover him holistically and to report the facts and not to be cheerleaders? Do you think Sanders understands what the media job is?
Absolutely. He reads everything that's put out there. He's read my work. He's commented. As a journalist, you're going to have to answer for everything you write and put out there. One thing about Sanders that I will say, under the criticism that he's come back to me with, he's very fair. That's one thing that he does demand from journalists. If you're putting something out talking about, oh, this is going to be the worst team ever, but he hasn't seen you at a practice, you're just speculating. You're just saying, oh, this team's going to be terrible. They're going to go 0-11, I can only see 1 or 2 wins, but you're not there. You're not actually doing your homework. That's when you see that little chippiness. That's when he's going to call you out.
Well, thank you so much, Mia, for joining us. And it'll be really interesting to see how this Colorado team finishes out this season.
It's great to hear from Mia Berry on Prime's unique path to where he is now with the Buffs. It seems like just the other day he accepted the Jackson State head coaching job. 51 transfer additions later to Colorado and a flight to Boulder. Now here we are for this matchup.
Yeah, and it's amazing how he's rallied not only the school, but the entire community around that team. You see the way they're able to sell out those crowds and stuff, but they're not playing at home. They're playing here at Mountain America Stadium, and it's going to be a tough one. So let's look at some of those key players. Cam Scadaboo, you talk about 318 yards for 4 rushing touchdowns, but with this trickster Kenny Dillingham offense, he's also been throwing the ball just as well. 60 yards through the air, 75% as a passer.
Well, speaking of a guy who likes to throw the ball, we look at the other side. Shedeur Sanders, the son of Coach Prime, better than 1,700 passing yards, 15-2 in the touchdown to interception ratio. He had 4 against Caleb Williams and the Trojans in that track meet of a game that we had last week. So it's going to be a tough matchup keeping him under wraps there in the pocket. That leads right into the keys of the game. ASU's facing a defense that allows the most rush yards per game in the Pac-12. The Sun Devils have to get Cam Scadaboo going. 65th in the FPS in rush yards up to this point, 318 through just 5 games if ASU wants to play upset.
Yeah, Matt, on the other side of the ball, we talk about the defense and how important they've been to this team's success, and they've got to win the turnover battle in this one. Give the offense more opportunities to score. Against Cal last weekend, they did not score the Devils on a turnover, so they need to capitalize on that.
Yeah, just 1 turnover for ASU, Paul, up to this point in the season. The last key, they've got to make explosive plays. ASU just has 14 plays of 15 or more yards. Jalin Conyers, Elijah Badger, even Xavier Guillory, those guys have to get going downfield in this creative Kenny Dillingham offense to have a chance against Colorado.
Yeah, we'll see if those keys can get the Sun Devils going right here, 3:30 on Saturday.
That's going to do it for this special pregame edition of Cronkite News. For Paul Schultz, everyone who's helped out in this show, I'm Matt Venezia, and we say thank you for joining us.
This is CN to Go. I'm Emily Olson with your Wednesday news briefing.
Do you want to create innovative content for Cronkite News? Do you enjoy listening to podcasts? Then CN to Go is for you. Cronkite News to Go is a podcast where students cover the latest headlines. Students become audio producers and hosts and will learn how to write, record, and edit stories. You can listen to the latest episodes on these platforms.
Welcome back. And as we end the show, we will stick with football and a university that educates the deaf and hard of hearing, unveiling a new technology for athletes. Gallaudet University teamed up with an AT&T to create a 5G helmet that visually communicates plays. The digital display within the helmet's visor will visually show the play the coaches call to the quarterback. The new helmets will be used for the first time this Saturday in a game against Hilbert College. That's it for Cronkite News. Thanks for joining us. And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.